Yeah, we haven't done one in a while with Young Yaya. So he has Unity faces massive outrage and revolt from devs after charging fee for installs. Oh, this is gonna be fucking good. It's gonna be goddamn good. I wonder what it is. Let's hear it, man.
Is John Riccitello, and he is the worst. He is currently the CEO of Unity Technologies. Formerly, he was at
this is the previous dude from Electron. Oh, that's about to be fucking some bullshit.
Electronic Arts. He was CEO of that company, and you may infamously remember him for trying to suggest that gaming would be better off if companies like EA pull things like charging people money for bullets when they run out. This right here is a YouTube clip.
Excuse me. This man wants gamers to pay for bullets. Oh, shit. All right, let's go.
Published 12 years ago, back in June of 2011.
Stupid ass shit.
There's a portion of a speech EA CEO
John Riccitello. You want to be a CEO? Be CEO.
I want you to listen to this.
CEO of EA without some bullshit.
He is to contextualize what's happening with Unity right now. Here's what he said back then.
The second thing, and this is a point that I think might be lost on many, is a big and substantial portion of digital revenues or microtransactions. When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip, and we ask you for $1 to reload,
some ominous music in the background.
Really not very price sensitive at that point in time.
What?
And for what it's worth, the cogs on the clip really low, and so essentially what ends up happening, and the reason the play first, pay later model works so nicely, is the consumer gets engaged in a property. They might spend 10, 20, 30, 50 hours in the game.
My God, this man's trying to psychoanalyze bullshit.
We're well invested in it. We're not gouging, but we're charging.
You are gouging.
At that point,
precisely.
It can be pretty high. As a personal anecdote, I spent about $5,000.
Hey man, we ain't punch you in the face, but you know my fist is on your face. You know, and I'm not punching you in the head, man. You know, just my fist is. You know, my fist is whooping your ass. You know, I'm not kicking you while you're not down, but my foot is kicking you in the gut and stomping your face. But you know, it's not me. We're not doing that. What?
This calendar year to date, I'm doing just this thing, this type of thing on our products and others. I can readily attest to how well it works. But it's a great model, and I think it represents a substantially better future for the industry.
A substantially better future for the industry. And as this whole Unity situation debacle unravels,
is man trying to cancel himself? He trying to get himself fired? What is this dumb shit? Hey man, you know, boss, you know I don't like you or whatever, man, but I'm telling you, go fuck yourself. But you know, can I get a raise though?
people are reminding folks that this is the former CEO of EA. Reminder that the CEO of Unity is the same guy from EA who thought you as the player should pay real money for bullets in a first-person shooter game every time you reload. Beyond that, he said things like how developers who shun monetization are pure, brilliant, and fucking idiots. There's a real quote.
No, you idiot. Nah, you're a stupid idiot. I knew it. He's a stupid idiot.
From back in 2022, July 2022. He went as far as calling them some of the biggest fucking idiots for not charging for microtransactions. It was also during John Riccitello's tenure that FIFA, for the first time back in 2009, launched with loot boxes, and he's even so infamous among some developers that folks like Suda51 decided to include a guy named Damon Riccitello as the main villain in No More Heroes. This has to do with a game that Suda51 launched called Shadows of the Damned, which was published by EA. There seems to have been some corporate meddling with that game that didn't allow it to come out the way Suda51 envisioned, but that story is for another time.
Yeah, pretty precisely, probably. He was the one that was modeling the CEO after. Precisely.
Today we're here to talk about Unity. Unity, for those who don't know, is a game
Here we
development
go.
tool. It is a game engine that has been widely used, especially for indie games, but it's used industry-wide for numerous high-profile titles as well. And over the years, we've been seeing
Yeah, I think Power Rangers, the game I like playing, little Battle for the Grid. That was pretty good on Unity. Pretty sure that's the same engine.
small and big ways in which Unity has been devolving, especially since Riccitello took over as CEO. For example, this right here is an article from Game Developer published back in September.
Let's see also what they have for Unity. All right, so we got Unity games. Who we got? We got Cuphead was made on Unity. We have Rust. Got Fall Guys. Oh yeah, Beat Saber. We have Gun Reborn, Battlestar Galactica Online. There you go. And what else ones we got? Ape Out, and some ones I've seen that's all right. Dead Front. I don't know about that. Oh yeah, my friend Pedro. Yeah, that was a good game too. So yeah, there you go. There's some games that was on Unity. So you know those devs are gonna be pissed when with the outrage what's going on now.
Whose headline reads, Unity Pro and Enterprise plans are going up in price. Beginning in October, the prices for 3 of Unity's subscription services will go up in price for those who use the engine maker software. Then there was the whole controversy surrounding Unity's merger with IronSource, which angered developers because, well, plenty of developers are familiar with IronSource's somewhat sordid past, while the platform has
this
most
game
recently
just
been a fairly run-of-the-mill.
They say the Unity is good for like small games too, like close, not like open world type games, but yeah, close, narrow games probably. Yeah, so yeah.
Advertising platform for mobile apps. It has a brief history of being affiliated with malicious adware. And then more recently, on May of 2023, Unity decided to lay off 600 workers in search of long-term and profitable growth. Unity has been burning goodwill across the board, and it's been this major buildup. And now comes the tree trunk that destroyed the camel's back in the form of changes to Unity plans and pricing.
So they was literally just gearing up to just fuck people over, just fuck devs over, literally. Okay, we're gonna take out the small and try to go long term with a subscription model, like they on some wild shit, like they engine is like the Unreal Engine or some shit. If we go off the subscription base, I can't get the words out, chat.
Involving charging developers who made their games on Unity for every time a user installs a game on their systems.
Wow.
Right here is the page that details all this. We're introducing a Unity runtime fee that applies to certain Unity subscription plans based on per game installs across any Unity supported game platform. This will take effect on January 1st, 2020.
What the fuck? Are they really trying to get their engine? They trying to go broke on their engine? What is this bullshit? They really trying to nickel and dime developers, small ones too. Like
24.
What?
And then if we scroll down, we'll find a chart that details the revenue threshold in the last 12 months and the installation threshold over a game's lifetime that has to be met before these fees apply based on the different subscription tiers of Unity. So you've got at the lowest tier Unity Personal and Unity Plus. In the middle, you've got Unity Pro, and then you've got the highest tier, which is Unity Enterprise. At the Personal and Plus level, the revenue threshold over the last 12 months is $200,000, and the installation threshold over a game's lifetime is 200,000 installations. Once that threshold is reached, you're going to be charged 20 cents per new installation. And then at higher tiers, at the Pro level, you have to reach a revenue threshold of $1 million in the last 12 months and a lifetime installation threshold of $1 million.
Yeah, you charge
before
less.
You get the following fees based on how many new installations there are per month. So at the lowest tier, you've got 15 cents per new installation, and once you get to $1 million plus installations per month, it's 2 cents per new installation. So the more successful your game is, the less it's taxed, which means that the developers who are most impacted by this are the indie developers whose games might not do huge numbers. They'll be punished and taxed the most if they're at the pro and enterprise level.
This is ass
at the
backwards
enterprise
thinking.
level, it's $1 million and $1 million for revenue and install threshold. And you can see right here that at the lowest tier, you've got 12.5 cents per install, and at the highest tier of 1 million plus new installs per month, it's 1 cent per new install. And when you're dealing with cents, that might not sound like much, but when you scale that up to, you know, millions of copies sold or whatnot, I mean, these numbers do add up, and these fees can become quite significant. The outrage from developers has been universal. So many developers have been speaking out, especially indies, who are going to be significantly impacted by this and will be punished for their success. They'll be punished for people downloading their games en masse. Now, one of the first things that's happened since Unity announced this.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, this is what you pay for, right? You the boss, right? You the boss, bro. You the boss, man. Let me talk about Unity subscription.
This change, this additional fee that will be applied for usage of Unity, is that their stock took quite the dip the day that the announcement was made. The backlash is so universal, and so many developers are threatening to never use Unity again, or to pull out of Unity, that it's going to have an impact on Unity's financial standing. Jackie,
not just that, it's just so stupid. Why would you do that? It's not like your engine is in all games, or not even, you know, you're not even proceeding the up your engine, you know, like crazy. But I mean, I'm pretty sure it's pretty good, but it's not like everybody's using your goddamn engine like that. And you having small developers use your engine, and then all of a sudden, subscription. Like, what the? Woo. Let's continue.
Martin here tweeted, "How did this happen? The stock tanking. Gee, I wonder." You can see right here, people are celebrating the company suffering for what is a very scummy move. And shadily enough, it seemed as though Unity leadership predicted this, because just days before the development fees were announced, Unity bosses decided to sell stock. As Your Gamer reported here in their article, CEO John Riccitiello shifted 2,000 shares last week on the 6th of September, and then several others on Unity.
Like, I already knew this was bullshit, but god damn, bro, damn. Like, how should I fuck up a company? Yeah, you know what we can do? We're going to nickel and dime people. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's make sure anybody that use our engine, we're going to nickel and dime, even small developers. Fuck yeah, I like that shit.
These board of directors also sold shares in the past few weeks. Now, going back to Unity's page here, detailing changes to Unity plans and pricing, scrolling down, there is an FAQ section that elaborates on the changes here. So right here it reads, "How is Unity collecting the number of installs?" They say right here, "We leverage our own proprietary data model and will provide estimates of the number of times the runtime is distributed for a given project. This estimate will cover an invoice for all platforms." One of the big questions is, how do you keep track of exactly how many installs took place? And their response essentially amounts to, trust us, bro. Just trust our data, trust our proprietary data model, without providing an explanation. Given the ramifications of this fee, the fact that they can't provide exact details on how that data is collected, so developers know that the number of installs and the invoice that they receive for this is accurate, not having that prepared for an announcement like this.
You got some spamware or some shit in they game or some shit? What?
Just the very nature of this fee existing is utter shit. But the audacity to say, just trust us, we keep track of this thing, trust that our numbers that we give you and the invoice that we give you is 100% accurate, especially when trust surrounding Unity is at an all-time low. Like, wow, the balls on these guys. The audacity. Now, one of the biggest concerns surrounding this model was the idea of install bombing.
Like Unity.
Somebody maybe doesn't like a game or a developer, and they will essentially try to spam installs by uninstalling and reinstalling the game to rack up fees for a developer that they may not like. Now, the FAQ says right here that we are not going to charge a fee for reinstalls, but that wasn't the case initially. They changed this after backlash and concerns surrounding the...
Oh shit! So they want people to inflate their numbers too? You can inflate your numbers with they ass. So what if like you have two people just download your game and you just have a random reinstall? Oh my God, that's terrible. Ain't gonna make no damn money.
The prospect of
the engine is gonna be
install
flat.
bombing that would essentially allow users en masse to decide a developer should go bankrupt. Now, even with Unity changing it so that reinstalls don't count, it doesn't change the fact that because we don't know how Unity keeps track of the number of installs, there is a possibility that bad actors could find a way to essentially fake install numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
And rack up fees anyway.
That's exactly what I was talking about. This is so stupid. Ugh.
Don't know what security measures there are in place to ensure that the install numbers are accurate and that there's security surrounding ensuring that that number can't be spoofed. Now, the wording here is very specific. Does a reinstall of an app on the same device count towards the Unity runtime fee? If you reinstall a game on the same PC, then it won't charge a fee for reinstalls. But what if you install on multiple devices? I, for example, own a PC, a laptop, and say a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally. If I install a game on all four of those, then what happens? Well, in that case, all four of those installs would be charged for. Do installs of the same game by the same user across multiple devices count as different installs? We treat different devices as different installs. We don't want to track identity across different devices. So now a malicious actor can make it look like a game is being installed across a ton of different devices and rack up fees that way. And for those who aren't malicious actors, they'll have multiple gaming devices, be it PC or console, and all those different installs on devices they might want to play a Unity created game on. Those fees will start to rack up. In my scenario, if I install a Unity game across my PC, my laptop, my Steam Deck, and my ROG Ally, that's 20 cents times 4, that's 80 cents, and that's just one user. Again, if you kind of expand that across millions of users and scale, that racks up significantly. Once you get at the scale,
especially if it's like in a console, like if you got an Xbox account and PlayStation, and you got trying to use Xbox to PC or whatever, that probably count as 2 installs because it's 2 different devices, you know. Or just like what Young Ye say with like Steam Deck, and all that stuff.
That some of these games see when it comes to downloads and installs
while being the same user.
It can be very damaging to developers, especially indies who don't have the war chest that certain publishers
got the money.
That's especially true for the Unity Personal and Unity Plus tiers, where it's just 20 cents per new install across the board. It doesn't scale to the number of new installs per month. It's just 20 cents flat. And keep in mind that a lot of up-and-coming developers will likely try out Unity Personal and Unity Plus because it's the cheaper option and they don't know how well their game will do, so they don't know if it's worth going to Unity Pro or Unity Enterprise level. Now, they do address here install bombing. Do fraudulent installs or install bombing count toward the Unity runtime fee? Well, they do say right here that we are not going to charge a fee for fraudulent installs or install bombing.
How would you know, though?
Don't detail exactly how they're going to prevent that from happening.
How you going to know, though?
Detail the security measures they have put in place, if they're even there at all. We will work directly with you on cases where fraud or...
This is old EA bullshit. This literally is like old EA. Well, we won't let you know, but we know. We got this. We know what we're doing here. Look at Madden.
Botnets are suspected of malicious intent. So they are saying it's possible that it will happen, and when it does, developers will have to go out of their way and spend time working with Unity to try to sort out an install bombing situation. And even then, customer service never being perfect, some developers might get screwed over. Unity might decide, hey, I don't know, these look legitimate to me, and the fees might apply even if the install bombing actually took place, but maybe a malicious actor cover their tracks so well that Unity can't technically prove.
This is literally like watching Madden repeat itself, but with a CEO this time. It makes no sense. They're not going to explain the numbers because they don't got it. He definitely don't has it. And then he's talking about install bombing or whatever. How would he know? How the fuck would they goddamn know about that? You know? Because you're old EA freaking CEO. And we saw what CEO was doing when Madden was around. And Madden is not in the greatest shape ever, along with FIFA. You know?
that an install bombing situation took place. This is a hypothetical, but a possibility given the vagueness of what's being presented here and the lack of details surrounding how installs are tracked and how security surrounding installs are put in place. A few other things to note is that the fee will only start applying after the thresholds have been met. So retroactively, you won't be charged for installs that happen below these revenue thresholds and below these install thresholds. Another concern was installations of game demos as well as games in open access or beta. Demos in particular often tend to be free and given out. So what, we have to now pay Unity so we can release our demos? We have to pay for how many times a demo is installed? They do say right here that as long as a user can't access the full game through the demo, then the demo will be considered a separate package and not count toward the fee.
I doubt
Early
that.
access games are not considered demos. In addition, we don't intend to capture account installs for QA testing. So I guess they would be charging for early access games since they're not considered demos. Am I reading this right? And then there's the concern surrounding pirated copies of a game. Developers don't make any money when a copy of a game is pirated, but when that pirated copy is installed, the fee can apply. They don't provide much assurance on that front. The response,
how would they know,
does
though?
Unity runtime fee apply to pirated copies of games?
Again, how would they know? How would they know? Just literally.
Is we're happy to work with any developer who's been the victim of piracy so that they are not unfairly hurt by unwanted installs. But again, how do you keep track of that stuff?
Exactly.
Especially when pirates are so good at cracking things like DRM. Developers would have to spend valuable time trying to work with Unity's customer service and trying to prove that copies of their games were pirated to try to lower the fees that they might see in their invoice. Now, what if a game is featured in a subscription service like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus,
which already
Netflix
has
games,
happened.
Apple Arcade, you name it? Will developers be charged the Unity runtime fee for subscription-based games? They say right here, no. In this case, the developer is not distributing it, so we're not going to invoice the developer on subscription-based games. Instead, who they would be charging is the entity that distributes the runtime. So in the case of Xbox Game Pass, Microsoft would be charged for the number of installs of Unity games from Xbox Game Pass downloads. I have little doubt that platform holders have not agreed to this. Hell, developers do not agree to any of this.
A lot of Unity games going to be off of Xbox Game Pass and probably PlayStation sooner or later with this bullshit going through.
As for games in the form of web and streaming, we're not going to count web and streaming games towards your install count. And then finally, what about charity offers or bundles? They say no, any installs driven by charities or charity bundles will not count.
I mean, Xbox might keep it there, but
once again, how do you keep track of an installs source with no assurances or details about how they keep track of installs or what security measures are in place to ensure that install counts are legitimate? None of these clarifications have assuaged worries from developers. And keep in mind that a lot of these clarifications are changes from their initial plans. For example, initially, if a player deletes a game and reinstalls it, that's 2 installs, 2 charges. Initially, reinstalls on even the same device were going to be considered as an install count. It wasn't until later that Unity regrouped following the backlash and now says only the initial installation of a game triggers a fee as long as you're not installing on 2 separate devices where those installations.
Yeah, man, they are lying through their teeth. Oh, they really are. Yeah, man, I think that CEO,
will count separately. Another important point to highlight was this question: are these fees going to apply to games which have been out for years already? If you met the threshold 2 years ago, you'll start owing for any installs.
Yeah, the new CEO is not that bad, but this this dude is definitely the old EA CEO. Yeah.
Monthly from January, no. In theory, it says they'll use previous installs to determine threshold eligibility, and then you'll start owing them for the new ones. The answer is yes. Assuming the game is eligible and distributing the Unity runtime, then runtime fees will apply. We look at a game's lifetime installs to determine eligibility for the runtime fee. Then we'll bill the runtime fee based on all new installs that occur after January 1st, 2024. So games that were released before this fee was ever disclosed or applied, will be charged after January 1st, 2024. It's not just for new games, it's for old games as well. Now, one of the justifications that Unity provides for their Unity runtime fee is that it will not impact the majority of our developers. The developers will be impacted or generally.
So what happens if a game studio or whatever goes bankrupt? Then what? And people still download their game later and they don't exist. Well, you still try to get them or get the developers that made it and charge them constantly. You going after them and fucking, business bullshit. Yeah, you're just gonna fuck over. Yeah, this is literally just fucking over devs at the end of the day. This literally is literally screwing the devs. It's definitely indie devs for sure.
Those who have successful games and are generating revenue way above the thresholds we outlined in our blog. This means that developers who are still building their business and growing the audience of their games will not pay a fee. The program was designed specifically this way to ensure developers could find success before the install fee takes effect. A minority of developers being impacted in a large sea of developers is still a lot of developers.
Right.
And when you have a system where fees can easily rack up on a per install basis, and that seems to have so many loopholes and security issues, the developers who can be impacted will potentially
no security, pretty much, really, because they ain't trying to say.
Be impacted significantly. Jeff Keighley put it aptly here. What a joke, in a tweet that ratioed Unity's tweet and eclipsed it completely with
Jeff? Game Awards, Jeff? I know, right? Exactly. I was saying good, right?
46,000 likes versus Unity's mere 4,400.
If Jeff is shitting on
likes, a lot more retweets and responses than there are likes. They can't even answer basic questions with specific details. When somebody asked how our installs tracked, all they said is what they put in the FAQ. We leverage our own proprietary data model, yada, yada, yada. Basically, just trust me, bro. Unity even low-key confirmed when somebody asked, will this price ever increase? Can we get it locked in a contract? The response provided was, on an annual basis, we evaluate and adjust pricing across our product portfolio. So at any point in the future, they could decide to blindside developers. Somebody else also brought up piracy and concerns surrounding install bombing. All Unity had to say about that is that we do already have fraud detection practices in our ads technology, which is solving a similar problem. So we'll leverage that know-how as a starting point. A starting point. No. This is a crucial issue that you need to have nailed down. The fact that you're only at a starting point suggests to me that you don't have a fully fleshed out security measure in place. And instead you'll be relying on developers submitting their concerns to their fraud compliance team. And who knows how good that team will be at resolving piracy issues, especially when they're going to be overworked, given the flood of developers who will likely contact them because of piracy and fraud issues. Now, Unity...
Let's not forget that even freaking Epic Games Unreal Engine always has like sometimes problems here and there, even when they do like a stuff reset for Fortnite or some other games that have like error or hacks problems, and you got Unity, we'll have to try to deal with that on the fly. Yeah, goodbye.
Unity did eventually respond to all the backlash, but instead of acknowledging that this is just a shitty idea and scrapping it all together, they aimed for further justification, stating we want to acknowledge the confusion and frustration we heard after we announced our new runtime fee policy. But hey, keep in mind that more than 90% of our customers will not be affected by this change. Again, that's not a good justification. You're still fucking over less than 10% of your customer base, which is a significant number of developers in a sea of many, many developers, especially when so many of your developers are indie devs who may not be able to afford those
so you fucking over the future for the it's like I say, it's ass backwards. You want the most rich people to use your engine, but the future of your engine is going to be for the indie devs to get their hands on it, and you're going to want them to pay out the wazoo. And you're going to fuck them over with fees and a lot of problems down the line that somehow you're going to magically figure out.
Installation fees.
I just showed y'all just like a few big games, only just maybe a few Cuphead, Fall Guys, whatever, here and there. But yeah,
again, try to define here what counts as an install, but without
Ain't that
providing
many big
any
ones.
details as to how those installations are tracked to ensure their accuracy. And you can see once again that Unity is getting ratioed, only 2,199 likes versus almost 4,000 retweets and almost 6,500 replies. And if we scroll down, you can see that none of the responses are in support of Unity. They are all admonishing this utterly baffling move.
I kind of like that he showed Windows. This is almost like a Windows update, charging you every time you have to update your system to fix an issue. It's kind of like that a little bit, kind of. But we're gonna make it subscription based, so you got to pay us all the time.
On the part of a CEO who is out of touch with developers who now will not trust Unity. Even if they U-turn on this, even if they decide to backtrack on this, the fact that the leadership at Unity can even go here means that this is a company that's not to be trusted, period, because you never know how they'll try to screw you over in the future, what new schemes they'll try to come up with. And then we have feedback from actual developers who had plenty of things to say publicly on social media. Rami Ismail here tweeted, if you're a Unity developing studio, good luck if you ever piss off your user base. Instead of tanking your Metascore with a mass review campaign, they can now straight up tank you financially by organizing a mass install campaign. I imagine it's going to be really easy to make bots that can fake installation counts.
Exactly.
So developers will be charged on a mass enough scale where they will be financially impacted
Especially
severely.
if your
This tweet gained 14.
Especially if your game is digital, and the people just can inflate those numbers like crazy, and it could probably just be one hacker or somebody just doing that shit and putting it and faking it like it's on every system, a lot of systems. Yeah, it's stupid, man.
1,000 likes already, and then beyond that you've got this one right here from Rami Ismail. Just as a note, gamers, the Unity changes mean the following for you. Demos are now risky to developers. DRM free games are now risky to developers. Bundles are now risky to devs. Giveaways are now risky to devs. Updates are now risky to devs. Multi-device users are now risky to devs. Even with assurances about what counts as an install and what doesn't, because we don't know how they keep track of those installs, and because they haven't shared details about how they ensure that every install count is legitimate, all of these elements are in fact at risk. This tweet right here gained a lot of traction with over 1.4 million views and over almost 33,000 likes. Rami Ismail then further added that there's no way Unity talked to a single developer,
they
at least
probably didn't
outside
at
of
all.
Unity, before launching this. Developing in Unity is now straight up a financial risk for subscription services, charity bundles, piracy, being free to play, or going free to play. Think about that. Free to play games rely on recurrent monetization, and for a lot of them, you know, they might take a lot of time to gain traction. So a lot of them are relying on people to install their games. But when that comes with a significant fee that can build up over time, I mean, that could pave the road to free-to-play games.
Especially if it's like 1 million people install your game, you're fucked, because your game is free to play, and you might slowly building up, you know, a battle pass, season pass, whatever the hell you want to call it. And that's just like, what, maybe, I don't know, 500 people maybe or 50K. You know, never know. And it's slowly building up, and then that fees is gonna be fucking wham.
Games that are just getting
barely.
their footing, not
They
being
won't hit it
viable.
instantly,
Malicious
you know?
installs and giveaways are also financial risks. Rami Ismail also details here potential ways that install counts could be spoofed. Say an install counts as a unique Unity identifier being logged anew on a unique hardware ID. If someone can spoof the call or spin up VMs, they can incur thousands of dollars of outstanding fees or more in no time, and you'd have to challenge the invoice when it comes in. And apparently folks have heard that,
like I said, all it takes is one hacker or two to fake that out, or fake out the system, and goodbye game developer or game devs.
inside Unity, The blog post was reviewed for weeks, and internal concerns about poor and confusing messaging, Game Pass, etc. were all ignored. So Unity leadership were warned about all of this, and they decided to ignore that feedback internally. Rami Ismail tweeted, "I've been hearing the same from various folks, enough that I feel confident saying that it seems this response was not a surprise. Some of the folks who raised objections internally are furious. Apparently, internal channels are a mess." And Rami Ismail aptly pointed out that this also screws over Unity employees who did not agree to this. They have to do damage control and PR late into the late hours of night about this. And regardless of what the specific details are surrounding the fees per install and how those installs are tracked and what security measures are in place, Rami Ismail raised the following good point. Regardless of specifics, here's the 4 main things. Unity should not be able to retroactively change the terms and conditions on products or sales you have already made. Them making this move says they're willing to, and that should be terrifying. Unity should not be able to lock you into new terms by having the window for a change to their terms and conditions be shorter than the period they allow developers to cancel their agreement under. They're willing to, and that should be terrifying.
Subscription model
Unity
bullshit.
should not be able to charge for something for which the only measure is an internal black box system for which there is no method for external verification. Again, all Unity has said when it comes to specific details on how they keep track of installs and how they
just trust us, man. We got
install
this.
count is legitimate is trust me, bro, which is not valid and in some places not legal way to charge. And then finally, Unity should not charge developers or their partners, including publishers or distributors, for things that earn no revenue and or are outside of their control.
Exactly.
Installs cannot be controlled or limited, and means licensing a copy, sale or not, creates a perpetual financial risk.
Way more risky than anything ever. This also incentivized that, hey, anybody that using Unity engine, that you cannot make a beta or well, you can, but they're gonna charge you for it. And your beta's free or whatever. They probably have to do like for a limited time, because that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt game development pretty much, because you gotta keep, every time somebody install your game, even if it's a beta or alpha. Yeah.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Unity is not charging a percentage of something that makes money. They're charging for a condition that can be replicated both legitimately and maliciously. Beyond Rami Ismail, plenty of other developers and development studios have spoken out. Here we have Aggro Crab Games, who released the following statement. "Hey gamers, today Unity, the engine we use to make our games, announced that they'll soon be taking a fee from developers for every copy of the game installed over a certain threshold, regardless of how that copy was obtained. Guess who has a somewhat highly anticipated game coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024? That's right, it's us and a lot of other developers. That means another crap's treasure will be free to install for the 25 million Game Pass subscribers. That's going to be a lot of installations that will count towards a fee. If a fraction of those users download our game, Unity could take a fee that puts an enormous dent in our income and threatens the sustainability of our business. And that's before we even think about
threatening their own business for using their own engine." It's like hey, cut the middleman out. Hey, yo, man, I'm trying to get that money, man. What you mean get my money? Yeah, you know, you're using the engine, the Unity engine, bro. But I gotta take my cut, man. Come on, give me my cut, motherfucker. I hurt you, man. Take them legs up real quick. What? Yeah.
Sales on other platforms or pirated installs of our game, or even multiple installs by the same user. This decision puts us and countless other studios in a position where we might not be able to justify using Unity for our future titles.
Right.
If these changes aren't rolled back, we'll be heavily considering.
Like I said, they're just gonna kill themselves in the future. They're just done. They might have a good engine, but nobody gonna use that shit because it's going to stifle their money. And what happens when game developers run out of money because they're using your damn engine, and you're fucking them over in the long haul or at the beginning of the long haul.
Abandoning our wealth of Unity expertise we have accumulated over the years and starting from scratch in a new engine, which is really something we'd rather not do. On behalf of the development community, we're calling on Unity to reverse the latest in a string of short-sighted decisions. This is not the first, but this is the most severe in a string of short-sighted decisions that seem to prioritize shareholders over their products' actual users. I fucking hate it here. Aggro Crab. And this tweet right here, 8.4 million views, over 100,000 likes. This is a sentiment that is universally shared across all developers and a sentiment that the gaming community sympathizes with. Now, it has since been clarified that in a situation where a game is released in a subscription service like Xbox Game Pass, it's not the developer who'll get charged, but rather the platform holder. So Microsoft or Xbox would be paying Unity's fee, but that's a fee that Microsoft and Xbox no doubt didn't agree on.
Yep.
So how is that going to work?
Yeah,
Good luck
exactly.
on getting trillion-dollar company Microsoft to pay your fee if they didn't agree on this or didn't hear about this beforehand. The development studio Inner Sloth chimed in by
this is going to fuck them over in the court because they didn't agree to this at all. They just threw that in there at the last second. Yeah, good luck with that.
Tweeting what Aggro Crab posted, and they posted the following image with their own statement that reads, "We use Unity to make our games. This would harm not only us, but fellow game studios of all budgets and sizes."
Yeah, not only what he just said, it was also just going to take, the rest of your game. You have to switch all your assets to another engine. That's going to take a lot of time for your game to come out too.
If this goes through, would delay content and features our players actually want to port our games elsewhere, as others are also considering, essentially migrating to another game engine, but many developers won't have the time or means to do the same. Stop it. What the fuck? Massive Monsters, the creators of Cult of the Lamb, posted this. For those who don't know, Cult of the Lamb is made in Unity. Unity is introducing a runtime fee that's based on game installs. Our team specializes in Unity games. So what's the impact on us? Well, we have future projects in the pipeline that were initially planned to be developed in Unity. This change would result in significant delay since our team would need to acquire an entirely new skill set. They'd rather start from scratch and move to a new engine than deal with this bullshit, which is fair, but that also will result in them having to start from scratch and having to learn a whole new engine, which is going to impact them by delaying the game and just it's going to be a waste of time and money. At Massive Monster, our mission has been to support and promote new and emerging indie games. The introduction of these fees by Unity could pose significant challenges for aspiring developers. And the statement ends with a pretty clear message. Quit being stinky, Unity, alongside this animation of a character pooping out Unity, which is being quite shitty right now. Some developers are even threatening to pull their Unity games in protest. Cult of the Lamb here tweeted, "Buy Cult of the Lamb now because we're deleting it on January 1st. This here certainly made headlines with almost...
Like I said, they should, because your game is going to get stifled the longer you have success. The longer you have success, you have to keep paying Unity in the background for an engine other your game, so you have to keep paying them every time your game does successful, instead of just having that one-time fee type thing. Lifetime, man, you know. Don't keep collecting that money while you keep getting that bucks, baby. Come on, man. I'm just, man, we're gonna break your legs real quick. Come on, bruh.
60,000, over 62,000 likes. This just updated, and over 5.5 million views. Actually, I just refreshed the page. Over 6.5 million views. Here's developer Landfall with their own statement that reads, "Yesterday, Unity announced without warning to its user base that they'll start charging Unity developers a fee per copy installed of their games. We have used Unity to develop all of our major titles, such as Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which has been installed tens of millions of times throughout the years. To say that this announcement is concerning is an understatement, and we're questioning our continued use of the engine. They're making this change without any form of opt-in or consent from developers and retroactively applying this new rule to games developed and released years ago. This goes against their previous statements and is a huge breach of trust." When we started working...
I mean, that's why Epic Games always try to work with game developers over time. Because you keep hearing like stories like, oh yeah, Unreal developers always trying to work with game developers on the engine. And they're talking through it, and that's how you get Unreal, 4 and 5 down the line. Because it's supposed to help make it easy for game development. And they go in the opposite direction. You're going to charge us, goddamn. You're going to charge us for our goddamn game. You put on our engine, you're going to charge your ass, all right? Yeah, for a lifetime.
On tabs and stick fight, we made the decision to use Unity partly because of their flat payment model, something that they're now going back on. It's like if we increased the price of our games and sent everyone who has played them an invoice for the difference. We would love to stick with the engine we have used to make our games for the last 10 years, but at present, we don't see how we can start any new projects using Unity when there's no way to know what kind of retroactive business model they might throw at us in the future. Publishers like Devolver Digital chimed in by tweeting, definitely include what engine you're using in game pitches. It's important information because Devolver Digital, as a publisher, as well as its developers, might get charged fees that were not anticipated. Right here, we have another indie developer, Michael J. Foxney.
And they can just change it right on the fly, too. So instead they'd be like, oh, yeah, you know, we charge you maybe this little late fee right here, this one-time fee. Oh, guess what? We got a new model now. So now you're going to charge you $2 billion.
Highlighting the awful situation that this fee places developers in. This right here has got almost 30,000 likes and over 1.9 million views. This is kind of the process that can pave the road to financial disaster for a developer. Make a game is freemium. Game makes $200K from in-app purchases after being installed 3 million times. Now owe Unity 20 cents per 2.8 million installs. That's $560,000 per install. Doesn't sound like much when you just kind of look at it on its own. But when you scale it up to 2.8 million installs, yeah, this is the kind of fee that can be racked up. That's $360,000 more than we made from $200,000 worth of in-app purchases. This is a great example of how
it put the game developers in debt. There you go. There you go. There you go, right there. There it is. There you go, right there. Game makes $2K from in-game purchases after being installed 3 million times. You make this much, you have to pay Unity people this much. Yep.
worth of in-app purchases. This is a great example of how any free-to-play games made with Unity are at great financial risk. Now, somebody here raised the point of upgrade to pro. Michael J. Fox, and he said, yeah, absolutely, but there will be absolutely people who don't upgrade and get caught by this, and I'm not looking forward to that. Here we have Twitter user Forrest, who is a developer at Innersloth Devs. He tweeted, I bet Steam, Epic, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft will love having waves of developers pulling their games. Innersloth has always paid Unity appropriately for licenses and services we use. I'm not a discourse guy, but this is undue and will force my hand. Yeah, developers are threatening not only a mass exodus from Unity, but also pulling their Unity games so that they're not faced with these kinds of fees. And that will put a dent on platform holders who get a revenue cut from these games that are now being pulled en masse. So this is kind of something that is potentially being organized if Unity doesn't change course quickly and now. Here we have smaller devs contemplating switching to a different engine and just realizing that this is just money wasted. They spent a small fortune on a pro license to develop the game over several years. Seems kind of insane that Unity can just throw this out there on a whim. They should refund the lifetime license costs for everyone who want to pull out, because a lot of people signed on to Unity not knowing that these changes were coming. Here we have another developer, Tom Francis, who tweeted, don't often weigh in on the clusterfuck of the day, but in case it needs saying, Unity rug pulling a new fee structure on developers is an astonishing scumbag move. And then scrolling down, he further added, not because of how—
Hey man, that's old EA bullshit, baby. EA bullshit 101, baby. Old style. Like Origin, all that bullshit like that, you know. Hey, but man, you got to pay us, man. Come on, man. You got to sign up for that bullshit, baby. Subscription fee, baby. Come on. EA Plus, baby. EA Play, baby.
how much it shakes out to, but because a partner who can and will change how much of your revenue you owe them after you've made and released your game needs to be avoided like the plague. They're just too unpredictable. They're not to be trusted. You don't know how they might screw you over. Tom Francis continued, I hadn't realized that Unity even legally could. I gather Epic's Unreal license is perpetual perversion. So whatever the deal is when you commit, you're guaranteed that forever if you're happy to stick with that version. Whereas with Unity, I guess their terms of service and stuff like that, their license agreement states that they can just change the deal on you on a whim. Unreal Engine's 5% is more
like I said at the beginning. What happens when the Unity devs or whatever, the studio is like, hey, you're going to install our game. Hey, you know we changed the service, right? But what? Yeah, we changed the service. Now you got to pay us $20 million per install. What?
Unity's new fees in most scenarios, but compared to a company that can help themselves to any amount of your money at any time, suddenly sounding more reasonable. Dylan Rogers chimed in, a developer over at New Blood, saying that even if they reverse this 100%, the damage is done. You cannot trust a partner who will alter the deal after it's done. Next up, we got a statement from Thomas Sala, who is the creator of the Falconeer. This developer tweeted, "What I also dislike also about this Unity debacle, I already committed to their engine for my new game, put years and years of work into my pipeline. I did so under a simple per seat license I'm happy to pay. Now while I'm close to release, they spring something new on me. Not a price increase, a fundamental change in how we do business together. I have no options, cannot go back, can only bend and pay up. Again, a partner that cannot be trusted, that can screw you over at any time. It's a form of blackmail," he says. "It's not dependable. How will it change it 2 years from now, a decade from now? You just don't know. It is gross, and it makes me want to go somewhere else with my..."
That's what I'm talking about right there. How would they charge it 2 years from now, a decade? Exactly. So, like, your game, you had one-time charge right there, and then what happens? Yeah, this is just stupidity again. Over
business, which is totally reasonable. Former Valve developer Chet Fallon.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just thought about that. Like, think about somebody using your engine for, like, 8 years straight, and you didn't do nothing. You had, like, good stuff coming from the developer or, you know, engine or whatever. It's like, oh, this engine is fucking great. And then the engine people that made the engine company say, hey, you know what? You could charge you now. Like, what? What you mean charge us more money? What you mean? Yeah, now it's going to be $2 million. 5 extra ad cents more. So your game makes maybe $1 million. Now you got to pay them $3 to $4 million for using, just getting, you know, your game, making them damn $1 million. Especially the install is probably through the roof from that. Woo.
Check put it Apple. You can budget and
so you have a negative
before you enter other contracts.
Paying them.
For Unity now, some contracts will be punitive if you're a big hit. And then a few other devs chimed in, just saying goodbye to Unity. Here we have Jacob Wahlberg, who responded to Unity's announcement of this runtime fee by tweeting, "This will be definitive goodbye for me." He's not the only one. Here we have Matt Wood, who is making Little Kitty, who tweeted, "Yeah, this will absolutely be the last Unity game for me, 100%. Next up, we got a tweet from Over the Moon Games, who's making The Fall, and this was on the Epic Games as a free game. I was quite happy to sell them the rights for peanuts, and the game was installed like 7 million freaking times. Shit. How do you propose this will work? I'd owe you more money than I've made in my life. More than I've made in my life is an obvious exaggeration," he clarified, but he would still owe Unity 3 times what Epic paid the developer. Though that's assuming 20 cents per install, though he later clarified that the more downloads you get, the less they charge you per download, I believe, although it's hard to tell because it's complicated. Talk about a PR.
But they can also change that on the fly too. Again, like I said, even though your game becomes a hit, they can also reverse that change and say, oh yeah, we reverse it now. We want that money to apply to the biggest hit in our engine history or whatever. Now you got to pay them more extra money because they can just change it on the fly.
If you need math formulas to not set the internet on fire, maybe you should rethink your announcement. Now, for this developer, it was pointed out by somebody else that it doesn't seem to charge us retroactively, but messaging overall is super vague and confusing. Now, for future game releases, developers might be discouraged from pursuing a model like this where they get paid a fee for releasing a game on a platform like Epic Games for free, because if it gets downloaded a bunch, you might rack up a bunch of fees. Here's a great blog post by Brandon,
especially if your game is free on Epic Games.
Website, insertcredit.com, a blog post titled "The Death of Unity." And scrolling down, you find one scenario of a developer who's selling their game for cheap, but that model might be discouraged in the future because Unity's new per installation fee makes it extremely costly for games like Vampire Survivor to sell their game at the price they do. Vampire Survivor's Edge was their price, just a couple bucks for this incredibly fun game. Now doing something like that is completely unfeasible. Imagine releasing a game for 99 cents under the personal plan, where Steam takes 30% off the top for their platform fee, and then Unity takes 20 cents per install, and now you're making a maximum of 46 cents on the dollar. And on a personal note, I have Vampire Survivors installed on numerous PC gaming devices, a full-fledged desktop tower, a laptop, my Steam Deck and my ROG Ally. And I might buy other new devices in the future where I'll install Vampire Survivors. That's 20 cents times however many devices I install the game on, while the game only costs a few bucks. That's a lot of fees that can be racked up from a person who purchased the game once. As a developer who starts a game under the personal plan because you're not sure how well it'll do, you're punished, astoundingly so, for being a breakout success. That's another thing. It also depends on what plan you're on, and usually when you're an up-and-comer, you want to start on the lower tier of Unity subscription because you don't know how well your game will do. And when you're at that lower tier of Unity subscription, the rate of new installation fee is set. It's 20 cents no matter how many new installations per month. In a scenario like this, a game like Vampire Survivors might not have released with the model that it did, with a pricing point that it did, and it might not have ended up being the breakout success that it ended up being. And yes, Vampire Survivor was made with Unity. So yeah, there's a lot that's very troubling about Unity's introduction of a per installation fee. Beyond social media, numerous news outlets have been speaking to indie developers and have provided their statements to outlets like Kotaku. Here's an article: devs react to Unity's newly announced fee for game installs. Scrolling down, you'll find quotes such as this right here. There's a lot of things in Unity's statement that aren't clear.
Yeah, their future is done.
Games Radar contacted and spoke to 10.
I think Unity's future is done at this point, really. It's just, just talking about hearsay about what you're going to do unless they can reverse the engine decision, which they probably might do it. But since dudes kind of doubled down a little bit, well, we'll see. Once he starts seeing those developers after what, I guess whoever's still using who's still got the license and their game coming out maybe next year or whatever, and the year before that. After that, I think they gonna go whoop. They're probably gonna try to reverse after all the people come out with their game from Unity that they did this to in the long run.
Game developers and got quotes like this: how this is a betrayal of trust, echoing the same sentiments that many have shared. Many developers, including myself, would not have chosen to even start making projects in Unity if those were the terms right off the bat. And he notes that certain game models are now greatly discouraged. Fewer devs would be making free games in Unity if there was a chance that if their games become an overnight success, that suddenly, it's
Real Engine looking mighty damn great now.
Featured in this Games Radar article, which I'll link in the description box below. Here's another developer, Aaron Sanfilippo, director of Flipfly, who tweeted, "At this point, I don't care if they 100% backpedal on this. They've made it clear it's not safe to work with this engine." Now, AgroCrab Games did apparently manage to contact Unity representatives and said that they gave us some answers that they say will be public soon. We didn't come away with renewed trust in Unity or the policy, which we still think
changed that shit on the dime.
Allegedly, real answers to a lot of speculation/misinformation are on the way. Out of respect for the employees who didn't make this decision and are just trying to hold everything together, we're going to refrain from the discourse until more info's out there, but we'll continue to be honest with our opinions on
shit
policy
is on fire right
as
now.
more stuff comes to light. Even if that stuff comes to light, again, the trust is gone. The fact that they've shown that they're willing to do a rug pull like this out of nowhere, out of the blue, without
fucking nowhere, bro,
consulting developers, without getting feedback, and are just kind of willing to have this level of lack of consideration.
So if you use Unity from what these guys are doing right now, you can't put out an alpha, a beta, or anything that's like maybe free to play game, because if you do that and people and gamers install your game, you're gonna be in the shit. You will have to literally pay millions of dollars just for the alpha or demo alone that people like your game and get word of mouth spreads. Now you in the shit because your game was just a free or alpha beta in your game. Now you got to pay Unity straight off the bat. Like, hey, dog, I'm taking that, and you pay for like the little plan too, the first one, because you're a small develop group too.
Just a huge red flag for working with Unity. There are already opinion pieces declaring that this may very well mark the death of Unity. With this post right here from game developer warning that if you're starting a new game project, do not use Unity.
Exactly. I said the future for Unity is gone.
It's worth switching to something else. Unity is quite simply not a company to
make
be
your own
trusted.
engine.
This man right here, John Riccitello, the Palpatine of the gaming industry, is certainly not to be trusted. So long as he remains the CEO of Unity, the leader of this company, and continues to have his evil antics when it comes to exploitation and monetization,
not
and
evil,
just
stupid.
being beholden to shareholders instead of the customers who use the products of his company, I don't think developers should be touching Unity with a 10-foot pole. And while all of this is happening, another shady element to consider is what this Reddit user noticed. This is the game dev subreddit where it was posted that Unity silently removed their GitHub repository to track license changes, then updated their license to remove the clause that lets you use the terms of service from the version you shipped with, then insists games already shipped need to pay the new fees. Unity is willing to change the rules on developers at any point in time.
Yeah, like I said.
A game engine, that's not a company, a partner to be associated with,
Yep.
and to put your life's work in the hands of. Or at the very least, that's one man's take, and this is kind of a summary of everything that's transpired thus far surrounding this whole Unity situation. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on all of this. I know this is a lot, but this is definitely important to talk about. Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Well, there you go.
And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
There you go. There you go. All right, there it is. Unity. The end for Unity. That's what it's looking like to me, man. I'm telling you. I said it at the beginning of this video. Damn, this video long, young. Goddamn, but I'll have it at the bottom, description below. You can watch the full thing without me cutting in between and stopping the video. But yeah, man, they are in the shit, man. Like I said, their future is gone. Unity's future for games are literally just done. Cause you literally hurting the young and up and coming indie dev scene overall. Sure, you know, if you get a big hit, that's nice and all, but guess what? I just showed y'all like maybe one or two games that was probably like a big hit. It's part in Unity's engine. And now you cipher that off, because now, and I think they did this bullshit because they had like a lot of other games coming out over time, and dudes like one person that stifled, that said he had the only engine he could use is Unity because he put his livelihood into it, and they changed the damn stuff on the fly. Oh my goodness. Yes, this will price increase and only affects a small subset of current Unity. This is right here. This whole thing is right here, just saving face right here. I can't believe this, man. This is almost like if Epic Games was like, okay, now we're charging more for Unreal Engine more, and we upping the price from like 12 to like, I don't know, 36 or some shit. And then we're going to cut that price, and then we're going to put like subscription prices in between that price. So you get like no money, and then you have to pay us overtime, a lifetime quote unquote subscription. Whatever the hell that is. That is fucking funny as hell to me. Changing pricing. And this is really what it comes down to right here. All this bullshit comes down from them. Right here. This bullshit. Because they can change it right on the fly. And anything that's before this, like I said, after this date, there's probably gonna be literally maybe one or two Unity games come out at least, because I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna try it. But I think that after this date right here goes, and you have those people that has to use the engine or whatever, and they see the outcome of their game, and they had to see that price that they got to pay Unity. That word of mouth is gonna spread so goddamn hard for them. Oh, I mean, it's doing it now, but it's gonna get even worse for them because they did this to themselves, right? Unity, the CEO kind of did this for them. Ciphered all this bullshit, a bad press. And I think that's the one thing you don't do in gaming is you get bad press because that's gonna fucking escalate even worse, especially when gamers hear that shit. Some gamers gonna hear that and like, fuck them, whatever. I just want to play my fucking game. I don't care anything. Just play good games. Give me a good game to play. I'm fine with it, And other people's like, oh well, this company is gonna go right down under and bankrupt, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because Unity fucks them over. Good shit, though. Yeah, we need to have more stuff like this happen so we can see who the ones that's nickel and dime people, and we already know the CEO is already doing that BS. But yeah, if it's him and we got more people like him in there, they need to out themselves like this more often than not, so we can see what we're dealing with in gaming, for sure. But anyway, good shit by Young. Good video overall. Love it. Be in the description down below. Oh man, this guy right here. You can call him the Palpatine. Fucking hilarious. Yep. At least some of these game developers also talking to their fans. I love that. I love the interaction with this. This is what the game development needs to show more often than not. So we keep people in the loop if people want to know. But some gamers don't give a shit about that. But it's good to keep it if you're making a following with your game and stuff, and you let people know you have this show and what's going on with your game development over the months before the game comes out and the fees. I fucking hate it here. Oh man, goodbye Unity, or subpar Unity anyway. We'll see how they backpedal over the days and maybe months ahead. We'll see what happens. But there you go. Legendvry out.